though we have no hardcore evidence of it, which is unfortunate and true with a lot of history connected to this work, because there are no lists, there are no secret list of, you know, stations. There's no secret list of people that went through the Underground Railroad. But we do believe that Deep River was written primarily about not only the Deep River that runs through this county, but Deep River Meeting in particular. In most cases, it's possible that you would leave from here and you would go to Deep River. Because the stations were very close. You didn't travel a lot. You traveled maybe 10 to 15 miles a day if you're lucky. So leaving and getting out of the South was very, very slow, very tedious, unless you were lucky enough to hook up with a Quaker who had a wagon. And then you have a situation where then that Quaker has to protect you. That Quaker has to make sure that you are protected and not found out. There's a story that Max tells about the Quaker that was going up north, going to Ohio, and had some enslaved Africans hidden in the false bottom wagon, which there's one of only two that we know of over in Jamestown at the Mendenhall Plantation. And he had some bottles and big urns and things like that on the top of the wagon, and of course the people were stuffed inside. So they're traveling and they're stopped by a patrol. Patrols are everywhere. In North Carolina, there was a law that no matter how many slaves you had in your county, you had to have a patrol. You had to, just like you got a militia together, you had to get a slave patrol. And so he was stopped. The slave patrol knew this guy was Quaker and suspected that he was probably up to no good as far as it was connected to slaves. And so he asked the guy point blank, because he also knew that Quakers don't lie. And the guy, I guess he asked the wrong question. He asked the guy, so what are you carrying? What do you have in your wagon? And he says, earthen vessels. I mean, that's what we are, right? We're earthen vessels. And so he said, I'm carrying some earthen vessels. And the guy was cool with that, and he let him on his way. So, you know, Quakers were very slick in that way. You know, making a turn of phrase in order to get, without lying, without, you know, subterfuge and whatnot. Sometimes they did a little bit of that, but not always. But Deep River, well, you know, the very famous song, but it's also a song that once again speaks to the promised land. It speaks to crossing the River Jordan. It speaks to the idea of faith, and it is a song that was used a lot. So I'm going to do this one for you. Deep River, my home is over Jordan. Deep River, Lord, I'm going over into campground. Deep River, my home is over Jordan. Deep River, Lord, I'm going over into campground. Oh, don't you wanna go to that milk and honey land where all God's children are free? Deep River, my home is over Jordan. Deep River, Lord, I'm going over into campground.